Alright, what's good YouTube? It's Little Derek.comics back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Pokemon Champions. So if you didn't know, there was a Pokemon Presents earlier today, and they showed a lot of cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of it was really cool. But there's one particular game that I was looking out for that that I've been keeping in my radar, and that's Pokemon Champions. And what it is basically the Pokemon game, but it's with just battling. It's just straight up Pokemon competitive matches. So I'll get into why that's great in a little bit, but we're gonna go through this trailer and break down some new information that we've got. So let's go ahead and start it. Also, it says rating pending. This is gonna be E for everyone. Like I don't know why we playing. Let's get this out the way. This is an E for everyone game. Okay, if not, it's E10 plus. There has not been. We've been playing Pokemon since before I was born. Okay, there has never been a Pokemon game rated above E10 plus. All right, I think the older ones might not have even had a rating. I think, but that's besides the point. None of them have been rated above E10 plus that had the battle system in them. And I don't think any of them are E10 plus. I think they're all E for everyone. So let's get that out the way. Also, we have this female character. I think this is just gonna be like if you pick the girl, this might be your like default. But all the other Pokemon like mobile game, or at least Pokemon Go, you have the option to choose how you design your character, and all of the kind of mainline titles recently have had it so that you can customize your character. This should be the default, and I think you'll be able to customize her based on like kind of skin tone you want and all that, and you can get accessories because these are a lot of accessories she already has on. So, but yeah, outside of that, let's just look at the stadium. Like, do you see how clean this game looks? For it to be like essentially a mobile game, that is pretty nice. This looks like this looks better than some of the actual Pokemon games. Like, this is nice, but let's continue. Alright, so she sends out Gardevoir, and we can kind of see some of the characters that are already confirmed for this game. And the models look really nice. The animations, they're the same animations. Like, they look a little bit better, but, I think the models look a little bit choppy with like the polygons, but for a free game, this is pretty sick. And this is a free game. We'll get more into that later.
Pokemon Champions.
And I'm just gonna pause as we go along.
In this title, you can enjoy the battles you know and love from the Pokemon series on your Nintendo Switch or mobile device.
Alright, so Nintendo Switch and mobile device. So this is big because, Pokemon Mobile has been huge, and just Nintendo Mobile in general has been huge since Pokemon Go. So it's good that they're keeping this up, and that'll expand the audience because it's not just Switch users, it's also app users, people who still play Pokemon Go and people who've never touched any Pokemon game in their life. So a lot of there's gonna be a lot of kids, but a lot of new players. The mobile game market is pretty huge. So, and then I'll get into it later, but they have confirmed that this is cross play. You can play with people on mobile devices and people on the Switch and everything like that, and that's amazing. It's not console centric. You have to have a Switch. You can't play this on PlayStation. You can't even play this on PC without doing some runarounds. It's PC. You can play anything. But yeah, I think that's really good. That's a really important part of this.
You can invite your previous Pokemon partners to join the action by
And
linking with Pokemon Home, or
bring
you
in
can
people
find
from
new
Pokemon
partners
Home
to battle alongside you right away.
So yeah, we'll get more into the fact that you can bring your old Pokemon, but Pokemon Home compatible. That's the important part.
Partners to battle alongside you right away from within Pokemon Champions.
Recruiting.
You can recruit Pokemon to your team to battle alongside you.
Oh, that's another thing. You don't necessarily have to bring in your old Pokemon because, let's be honest, a lot of people who are going to be playing this don't have Pokemon and don't have access to Pokemon Home. Well, no, you'd have access to Pokemon Home, but you wouldn't be able to bring anybody in from anything because you don't have a Switch, which basically negates the whole thing. I mean, if you have a DS, sure, you can. If you have, Pokemon Bank installed, but like what percentage of people have that? So this basically works like the rental fighters in some of the more recent games, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll get more into this later. But yeah, that's basically what this is.
It's up to you which Pokemon to choose. Recruit Pokemon you're interested in and form a team.
And this is pretty much the bank, I want to say. It's got like the boxes and everything. And again, we see more characters that are pretty much confirmed for this, and how you kind of build the team. You know, the standard kind of 6 slots. I guess you can have them in a box and then just select from the ones that you want to pick. That's pretty cool if that's the case. Yeah, and then they show the stats and everything. This is very kind of standard Pokemon stuff. And then the battles. Let's get into the battles.
You can enjoy ranked battles that let you face off against trainers from around the world, as well as private battles where you can take...
With the ranked battles, it looks like this is 3v3 instead of... Because usually... well, no. Yeah. It's usually 4v4, right? Am I tripping? Because if you play in competitive Pokemon, it'll be a 4v4 at least in double battles. I don't play too many singles, but I'm pretty sure in singles you pick 4 too. So that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. Actually, I kind of do. I kind of don't like that. I feel like the less you're able to pick from, the less options you have. But there's a lot going on with this game, so I can kind of understand why they'd be limited. Especially if there's a ton of Pokemon in this, and we'll get on to that later, but yeah, that's interesting.
Around the world, as well as private battles where you can take on family and friends with greater immersion than ever before.
And I just want to take a quick look at the UI to this. Like, yeah, the health bar looks nice. The extremely effective. Okay, so I'm guessing this is like double super effective, because that is a dragon. Whatever is double effective to this, most likely. So that's cool. Extremely effective. That's gonna be interesting.
Take on thrilling matches in single battles and double battles.
Yeah, and then you get to like choose who you hit with the move. This is very standard stuff.
Finally, we'd like to introduce you to a new way to raise Pokemon that lets you enjoy battles even more.
Training. Now, this isn't a training mode in a sense of like a training mode that you would find in, say, Street Fighter, or a practice range that you'd find in like maybe Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. This is like actual Pokemon training. So you're building up your stats and things like that. You're not training for Pokemon. There wouldn't really be a practical way to do that unless you're like battling against AI, which I mean, I guess you could, but nah.
Pokémon Champions offers ways to make raising your Pokémon more flexible and convenient than ever.
And we'll get into this, but this is very important. Like, this is probably one of the biggest things about this is that you can just kind of change stats on the fly. But we'll get into how this works later on.
Teach your Pokémon moves that interest you. Then train your Pokémon to make the most of them. Recruit and train to easily enjoy Pokémon battles.
Yeah, you can kind of see that you can change the stats. You can change the moves, you can change the natures and things like that. There's a lot that you can do with this. This is really something that should have existed a long time ago for Pokemon competitive. It takes so much of the hassle of just breeding and grinding to get a Pokemon out. Now, I don't know how they'll handle shinies. I don't know how that'll work in this game, but we'll have to see more about that later on too.
Bringing Pokemon battles to everyone. Pokemon Champions.
And that's basically what they're doing, is bringing it to everyone. Because like I said, even though this is limited in a sense that you can't play it on Xbox or PlayStation or PC, quote unquote, anybody that's got a phone with halfway decent storage, probably, I don't know how much this is going to take up, but a phone, an iPad, a tablet, you can play this, which a lot of kids have tablets and most adults have phones. And you might not expect an adult to play this, but Pokemon has a huge fan base, and if we remember what happened with Pokemon Go, you know what I mean, how that blew up. Which I'm not expecting this to blow up like Pokemon Go, but this can still be pretty huge. And then you also have the Switch user. So, you know, a lot of kids have the Switch, a lot of adults play Pokemon on the Switch. So there's another option they just have to, you know, play the game on an actual console format. And 2026. So this game is coming next year. I'd imagine it'll be kind of early or next year, kind of like how maybe Legends Arceus was. It was kind of early on in the year, maybe like February, late January or something like that, if I'm not misremembering, because we are going to get Legend Z, right? That's what it's called. Th- As you can tell, I prefer this, but we're getting Legend Z later on in the year. So I'd imagine that we get this like like early next year, because most likely we're getting a whole different game at the tail end of next year. But yeah, that's the basic trailer rundown, and we're gonna get kind of into the finer details of it. Okay, now we're going to get into the second part of this, which is the more in-depth breakdown. So we're on the Pokemon Champions website, and we're just gonna go down and break some of this stuff down a little bit further. Also, this stadium, like I said, is really sick. But let's continue. Pokemon Champions arrives in 2026, and then introducing Pokemon Champions. Get ready to experience everything you love about Pokemon battles all in one place. In Pokemon Champions, this new battle focused game will feature familiar mechanics such as Pokemon types, abilities, and moves, creating an environment conducive to rich and varied strategies for new and experienced trainers alike. It's not just familiar mechanics, you'll be able to bring in Pokemon from Pokemon Home to look forward to cross platform battles alongside your favorite Pokemon on Nintendo Switch systems and mobile devices with a variety of different modes available for your desired experience. There's a lot to kind of unpack there, but it's basically kind of what they told us in the trailer, that, this is a new battle oriented Pokemon experience, and, you can bring in your Pokemon from home and different modes available. Now, with that, I'm pretty sure they mean ranked, casual, and the one other kind of lobby mode, essentially. But we'll continue and we'll talk more about those in a sec. So we got some screenshots here, and one thing I do want to point out is that they've pretty much confirmed a few things with just these photos alone. One, you're playing it on mobile. The 2v2 format and the really cool stadium. This is I really hate to keep glazing this, but this is like the best Pokemon Stadium ever. Speaking of which, I want to say this is kind of how Pokemon Stadium operates, if I'm not mistaken, in kind of like this just straight battle format. I'm not too sure. I haven't played too much of it, but right here, this is big. So if you can see this, they have an image of a Mega Charizard X, whichever the blue one is, versus a water terrestrialized Wailord, which this confirms that we have mega evolutions and terrestrializations, which is huge. Which is huge. That opens the door to a lot of things and a lot of possibilities, since it's not just locked to a specific generation. That comes into play, like what all are they gonna add to this? And there's a lot they haven't told us yet that we kind of have to infer. But this was one of the biggest things I noticed when I first saw the trailer, because I was like, what? That's huge. So keep that in mind. Assembling your ideal team. So expand your Pokemon roster with new friends. You can bring some of your past partners into Pokemon Champions through Pokemon Home, and you can recruit Pokemon from within the game itself. So again, you can get like rental fighters. You don't need to have a Pokemon game to play this. That wouldn't make any sense. Okay. And with the rental system, we're gonna get into it. Recruiting Pokemon in Pokemon Champions. So trial recruitment, have a Pokemon join your team for a trial period. You can battle with it right away to test whether it will suit your strategy. You can use trial recruitment once a day without using victory points, also known as VP. So VP is the currency for all this. This is how you'll unlock things. This is how you'll unlock Pokemon moves and be able to like train your Pokemon. That is huge. Basically, like it says, victory points, very appropriately named, because one of the ways that you do get this, I want to say later on, they say, is through battling. At first, I thought this might have been somewhat of an issue, and we'll get into that later. But if you want to just try out a Pokemon, you can pretty much rent them for a week. You can only do that once per day, I want to say they mentioned later on. But you do have the option to just test out a Pokemon, see if it fits your playstyle. And if you like them, then you can recruit them permanently. So you can add them to your Pokédex in a sense. continue though. And permanent recruitment. Once you found a Pokemon that's a good match for you, it can be added to your team permanently. To do so, you'll need to use victory points. Now, when they say permanently, I wonder if they mean like permanently, or until you get rid of them. Because in every Pokemon game, you can empty your boxes to get rid of some dead weight, if you know what I mean. Candies, rare candies. Maybe you can get candies from uh getting rid of these, and you can use them in Go or something like that. I also want to know if this will be connected to Go in a different kind of way. Like, you can bring them from home, so I wonder if there'll maybe be some events for like this and some of the other Pokemon titles. But before we continue, you see that it costs 1,000 victory points to at least get certain Pokemon, like Gardevoir. That costs 1,000. You see how it goes from 5,000 to 4,000. Each Pokemon is probably going to cost on average around 1,000. Now, it might be different for like baby Pokemon. It might be different for like base Pokemon, maybe like final evolutions and stuff like that. But we can at least confirm that some will be 1,000 victory points. All right, now train your Pokemon. Tailor your team's skills in the training feature of Pokemon Champions. By using VP, you can hone your Pokemon's attack, defense, and other stats. You can even alter their abilities and moves. Customize your team to match your battle style. Though remember that you can't train Pokemon during their trial recruitment period. So, if you are testing out Pokemon, you cannot train them at all. You have to let them rock with whatever they got. And if you like them, you have to buy them, and then you can train them, which training also costs victory points. So let's get into that. So they kind of give us all of the like images of all the kind of training options right here. And you see we saw it in the trailer where you can like lower the stats. I don't think it costs anything to lower the stats. So you can clear your stats for free, which is amazing. You have to, in actual Pokemon games, you have to like go and find somebody to clear your stats or something like that. Depending on the game, it'll probably be even more convoluted than that. You might even have to get an entire different Pokemon sometimes in certain games. So this is a great feature. This is such an amazing quality of life change, because even in like, I'd say Sword and Shield, that was one of the easiest ways to grind up. Like, once you got the dojo, like if you got a dojo DLC, that was one of the easiest ways to like grind to change stats and stuff like that. But this is even easier. It's literally, you play the game, you unlock the points, and you lower the stats for free. And if you want to raise the stats, then you can pay. Let me see the rates of these. Okay, so total stat points, it says 34 out of 66, and I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, isn't 66 like, yeah, is that the most you can get? No. 23 is, where's the 66? I'm trying to think of this, right? 66 stat points? That's something about that doesn't seem right. Something's off about that. We can see that the natures, it looks like if you select a different nature, that'll be 200 victory points. And I guess the max you can spend on any given like stat change is 66, which is weird, again, like I said, because I don't think that's how the stats usually work. Okay, so that's interesting. We'll get back to that, but enjoy Pokemon battles. 3 battle modes and 2 formats. There are 3 different modes of Pokemon battles to try: ranked battles, casual battles, and private battles. You can challenge these modes in both single battle and double battle formats. So the ranked battles, in ranked battle mode, you test your skills against Pokemon trainers from all over the world. Your rank will change depending on your battle results. This way, you're sure to experience intense battles against trainers of similar skill level. Playing ranked battles also lets you obtain VP after your matches, depending on the outcome. So not only do you get VP from ranked battles, but it's also dependent upon how you do. So I'm gonna assume the more you win, maybe even consecutively, the more VP you get. So, and the better you do in the match, most likely, the more VP you get. If I'm basing it off of how rank works in actual Pokemon, then it kind of depends on if you win and how successive the wins are. So the more you get back to back, the more you will get the points. I'm not sure if that's exactly how it works, but basically the better you do, the more points you'll have. Just know that. Casual battles. In casual battle mode, you can play without worrying about wins or losses affecting your rank. Just enjoy testing your battle team's performance against other Pokemon trainers. It's a great way to experiment and perfect your strategy. So when you don't want to, lose your rank or anything, you can go to casual battles. However, it doesn't say that you can win victory points from the casual battles, which makes a lot of sense because you could just play this game without rank at all if that were the case. So that does give you some incentive to play for VP if that's the case. Private battles. In private battle mode or in private battles mode, you select a format and battle against your family, friends, and other people you know. Create a room where you and the opponent you like to face can have an exciting battle. So this is basically like a lobby match or something like that where you invite your friends, and it's pretty much casual, but you invite friends over. Whereas in casual, it's still kind of random, and I want to say still based off of like maybe the rank. I don't know, but yeah, again, we see here that it says 3 out of 3. So I'm wondering if, and they did say they have different like modes. I don't know if these three were the modes they're specifically talking about, but I wonder if they'll have it to where you can pick a full team of 6. Because if not, that'd be kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, it would make some sense. So, like, if they had another Pokemon game come out later on, like the 10th generation, they have competitive in that, then it kind of gives you some reason to play that over this. But wishful thinking, maybe like 3 out of 3. I mean, this can still be cool, and that does add a layer of strategy when there is 3v3 rather than 4v4. But and it'll also make the battle shorter because I will not lie, Pokemon battles can run you about 30 minutes. And sometimes they go over that. It's just that you time out after 30 minutes. So, for this more open, even though this is competitive Pokemon, for this more open field where you're playing with a lot of casual people and people that have never played this before, it's probably for the best that it's a little bit shorter. So I can kind of understand why they did that. And one more thing that I did want to confirm is that the VP system is not going to be a pay to win system. They can't be purchased outright. It says it right here. Victory points VP can be gained from ranked battles and other places in Pokemon Champions. You'll need VP to recruit and train Pokemon. VP cannot be directly purchased. So keep battling and gaining VP to power up your team even more. So this is going to be a grind thing. There's probably going to be some form of in-app purchases, I'd imagine. Maybe you get the Pokemon themselves from like DLC or something like that. But yeah, that's basically all of it in a nutshell. So what are my thoughts on this? I think this has the potential to be a just huge Pokemon endeavor. The fact that it's straight competitive and it's free to play and everybody can access it from somewhere dang near. And it's gonna be really fun. I'm really excited to see them hone in on the competitive aspect and see what Pokemon get added to this, what are gonna be the limits, what's off the tables. I'm a little concerned with the 3v3 format, but overall, I think this is a great move. I think it's great they're kind of separating the competitive aspect of it from the storyline, because you think about it, it's almost like if Street Fighter's main focus was the story and fighting was the afterthought, or Uncharted's competitive mode. Whenever Uncharted dies, the competitive mode dies with it. So it's not its own standalone thing, and that pretty much kills the competitive meta of it, because you can still sure play it, I guess, but if it's not supported, then who's going to play it with you? But I think this is great. I'm really excited to see this, but let me know what you think about it. Let me know how you feel about this new direction that Pokemon is going, how you feel about champions. I know a lot of people weren't really feeling it seemed like, but yeah. And let me know if you want to see more Pokemon content. If so, be sure to like and comment and subscribe and share the video with other people that like Pokemon, and let me know if I helped you out. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.